So all this useless waste of time, unless you insist on becoming a wheel builder, in which case, yes, there is little else to it. The other thing I was planning to do today, if I can, is replace the cassette. Because the cassette will have to come off. And I want to get the spokes at the right length this time. I bought some more 300s. So I'm hoping to replace the 296s with the 298s, which are on the other side, and use 300s as the new ones. Okay. Yeah. Alright. It's wearing down. Don't mind. So, let the rim tape out carefully. So what I've done here really with the wheel is I've upgraded the hub from a free wheel to a free hub. And the difference is, I'll show you with an old one. This is the old free wheel, which you can see there's a thread here that you can thread the wheel on. But it does mean this is the lock nuts, so the lock nuts are on this side and on that side. And the distance between those two is 126 millimeters for the old standard bikes with the thread-on freewheel. But it does mean that on this side the bearing is here and the lock nut is there, so the distance between the end of the axle and the bearing is only about that much, and there wouldn't be that much force going through it. However, on this side here, where the wheel is sitting over, the bearing is here, and it means that the distance between that and that is here, this much. And even with my tiny weight, it means that this will bend and eventually it will break, because the distance is just too big, and the axle can't really cope with that. So sooner or later the axle will bend and then it will snap. On the rear wheel not too bad, but still a nuisance. So I thought I'll upgrade to the new hub. And the new system, I bought a spare one. Actually I needed some of the parts. It's another mess up story that I'll spare you of today. So with the free hub, this one here is a Tagra. When I buy anything, it's because it's cheap, it's about £20. And this one's got a quick release skewer, so there's a hole in the actual skewer through it. That's why you don't need so much sticking out on the side, so you don't need to fit the nuts on the outside. It's just the clamp of the skewer that clamps the sides. And this one here you can see there's already a mechanism that turns. This here you just fit a cassette on the top. There's only one way it fits. There's a little pattern here, and so what you can do here is that the bearing for the axle is actually here and not here, and it means that the axle is much closer to the lock nut, and the forces will be far less on that bit of the axle. So hopefully those axles won't break. Well, not as quick anyway as the other ones. Thing is a bit with this, the old distance was 126 millimeters and this one is 130, so it's actually 4 millimeters too wide for your dropouts in your old bike, so it won't fit, and that's a bit of a problem. So you can either, if you have a steel frame bike, sort of force the dropouts apart. Some people use a bit of a wire end and put knots on it and screw it out. So it's about 5 millimeters over, so about 135. Let it go again, it comes back in and it might fit. But what I did is, in this Tiger, is there's a 5.5 millimeter spacer on this side, on the non-drive side. So if we look at the bike here this way, and I removed that and put a 1.5 millimeter 10 mil standard washer in, and then 5.5 minus 1.5 makes 4 millimeters. So actually the 130 turns into 126, and it will fit the frame of my old bike there. Problem is a little bit that the whole hub will now also move about 4 millimeters this way, and the wheel is supposed to be centered between the two lock nuts, so about here. So already the wheel is a little bit offset from the center of the spoke attachments here, and so the wheel is already a bit here, and if you move it 4 millimeters that way, it means you have to move your wheel or your rim another 4 millimeters this way. If you get too far on this side, then the danger is that the whole rim will fall off on this side if you put power through it, so the wheel might collapse, which if you're doing 30 down a hill or 40, this is not a good thing. There is a good website called problemshooters.com, and they have a nice explanation how to build a wheel, really, and they don't discuss this kind of thing, but they reckon that about 10 degrees you need on your spoke. Any less than that, you're going to danger land. So depend a bit on your weight and on your bike and how aggressive you can ride it as well, I'd imagine. So with me, so far it's been okay until I hit the pothole. So that was the way I upgraded my hub from a freewheel to a free hub, and hoped that it would last a bit longer. Here I am taking the bits apart, so it probably doesn't all make that much difference in the end. So here we are. So normally you could, if it's just a rim replace, it would be a bit easier. But as I want to replace the spokes and make them of the right length, I'll have to take the whole thing apart. So here we go, skew it out. So, I also cut 4 millimeters off the axle. Otherwise it's sticking out too much and it wouldn't fit. So here's one of the tools for bottom brackets for the old and for the new. No.
You're not rung them yet?
Huh?
You're not rung them yet?
No. I'm dishing and throwing it tomorrow.
Okay. Why have you got shirts pinned up there?
Huh?
Why have you got shirts up there?
Well, otherwise the camera might be dazzled by the light. Interruptions. So tool fits in. You can undo this lock ring. The only thing is a bit. This will travel with it. So.
Are you on camera now?
Yeah.
I got the coriander and the oil. What kind of oil should I have got?
Vegetable oil.
Yeah, that's what I got.
Very good. So use an old chain. You can buy a chain whip for a lot of money. But this may work as well. maybe not as good as a tape. Left myself enough space here, I'll use the workbench. Here we go. It's a bit upside down. It rattles a little bit. Some small teeth on the lock ring. There's the cassette coming off.